Hey guys, Anthony Jones with the Top Gun John Boat, and this video is about gas struts. Yes sir, gas struts on the rear end of my Top Gun John Boat. I'm going to do a full install, step by step, on the rear end, specifically on my live well hatch. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I do the install, what I use, a little bit about gas struts that I ordered from Amazon, everything. So stay tuned, guys. If you like what you see, as always, kindly subscribe to my channel. Be greatly appreciated. And that is it, my friends. May your tiny boat builds be great. Let's get right to it, guys. No nonsense. So these gas struts, I've got two different ones here. All right, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the gas struts. Number one, it is a sexy mod to do to your boat. They're not hard to install. They look cool. They function. You might even impress the ladies when you open up a hatch and it opens on its own and stabilizes the hatch lid open so your girl can get her sunscreen out. I don't know. I like them. I've got two different varieties here that I got on Amazon. So this one here is a 100N, and it'll actually say it on there, 100N. All right, it is a it's a 22.5 pound gas strut. Okay, so I've got the 22.5 pounds. Okay, and then over here, this is a 45N. It does not say it on there, but it does say it on the packaging. It's a 45N. It's a 10-pound gas strut. All right, so I've got 22.5 pound struts, 10-pound struts. Okay, they are the exact same size. Okay. That for me is important because they're interchangeable depending on what I'm doing, and my measurement, it stays the same throughout the boat. And I'll get back to that in a second. I ordered the 22.5 pounds on Amazon. I ordered the 10 pounds on Amazon. I ordered the 22.5 pounds for $4 for $10. I ordered the 10 pounds for $2 for $10. You follow me? You get twice as many with a 22.5 as you do with a 10.5 or 10 pounds, and it's just a supply-demand deal. The only way I could figure it out is the lower rated, like the 10 pounds, the 8 pounds. I think they make a 15 pound. They were 2 for 10. The higher stuff was you get more bang for your buck. Now I ordered these. I put these on a smaller hatch, that hatch, and dude, it about blew the hatch lid off the boat into the back of the garage. So I said 22.5 pounds for what I'm running, and your circumstances may vary, guys. Remember, I'm Mr. Difficult, so I'm running 11/32, and that's a small hatch. So 22.5 pounds, that's a lot of pressure for that. So I went back to the drawing board, and I did get the 10 pounds, and I installed one on that hatch, and it worked out wonderfully. So I would recommend lower pressure, but if you got 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch or whatever the heck you're running in your boat, you might want to try the 22.5 first, and then go back and downgrade if necessary. I said all that to say that I'm going to run the 22.5s on some of the hatches, and I'm going to run the 10s on other ones. I'm going to play it by ear. I think on this live well hatch here, we will run a 22.5, and then maybe on these back ones, 22.5. That one's definitely a 10. Some of the smaller ones are going to be 10, lighter ones. So I'm going to show you a few things about these before I just keep rambling. All right, so when they come in the package, it's going to come with some hardware. It's going to come with some screws, and I don't even know what you want to call these guys, but they're mounting points, pivot points that you're going to actually mount to your framing in your boat. And then, of course, the strut. And for some reason, the 22.5 pounds came with instructions in the packaging. Good luck reading those. Have fun with that. And then, now granted, I ordered these a while back. The 10 pounds come with the instructions. Actually, show you down here. They are actually on the plastic packaging. They are, I guess they're going green or paperless. And so again, when you start looking at this and everything's in millimeters, and you've got language like, please put the fixing plates well aligned on the stuff. You read that, guys? On the stuff. Make sure you do that on the stuff. So the stuff we're doing is hatches. So we're gonna I'm going to try to dumb this down and just show you kind of the measurement instead of trying to convert all these millimeters and do all this math with these crazy diagrams for the stuff. For the stuff. We're gonna install these on or install one of them on. We're gonna do it on the live well hatch right now. The live well. You guys remember my my live well series I did? Seems like 5 years ago now. You'll be familiar with this live well. You'll know that I had put framing just on this one side, okay, in preparation for a gas strut to mount here and then mount to my hatch lid. Guys, I'm probably gonna run the 22.5 pound strut on this hatch because this hatch is heavier. It is the biggest hatch in my boat, but also I have molded in my seat pedestal cover. It's sandwiched in. I should have done a video on that, but I was wide open at the time, just trying to get stuff done. But I think I'm going to run a 22.5 pound because with that seat pedestal in there, this is a heavier hatch. Also, again, my largest. But I did plan ahead, and I had already framed wood underneath my lip for my splash guard for my live well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mount this strut. The magic number, okay, is by Apexstone is 70 millimeters. That is 2.75 inches. They recommend if you were to close this and measure 2.75 inches out from your hinge or from your hatch, 2.75 inches out to center of, and it's perfect. They put this little line on there, but 2.75 inches to the center of that mounting point. This part here, guys, this flat part, that's going to go on the underside of your hatch, okay? The round part is going to go on your framing. It's going to go like so. Now, I've seen guys spin them different ways. I like to do it like this, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the first things first, let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my lip here to make sure that I have clearance. So I'm probably going to put a piece of tape here to kind of give me an idea of what I'm looking at. And one last thing, guys, is if you get online to order these, normally it's going to have the dimensions of these in inches or millimeters, and you can just do the math as to what size is actually going to fit, because when this thing's compressed, I think it's like 7 inches and some change compressed. And so when I did this live well, I needed to make sure that whatever I put in here compressed is going to fit within this spot, because this thing is going to go down, it's going to compress, and it's going to fit inside of there and tuck away perfectly. So let's go ahead and do some measuring. All right, so what I've done here is, if you could see this, that's my lip. Okay, I just ran tape up, all right, to kind of signify when this hatch is closed, my carbon fiber lip sits under this area. Okay, that'll give me an idea of exactly where this guy needs to be mounted outside the tape line. Okay, does that make sense? I measured 2.75 inches up and made a black mark. Okay, that's going to give me center, if I can do this, center of where this needs to be mounted. Now, I said that you could spin them different ways. All right, I don't know if you're going to be able to catch this, but I'm going to flip this. Okay, and in case I didn't cover it, see this part here? This part mounts to the strut part. See how the strut's up here? All right, see this round part? That mounts down here. All right, so that's how it goes. They just snap in. Okay, see those little grooves? Top and bottom, and that piece of metal? If you pry under that metal and pull out, I like to use needle nose pliers and just grab on that metal and pull out. That will release these clips. Okay, how do I know that? Because it took me about 30 minutes trying to figure out, and I really didn't want to break anything, how to get those apart. And it's very, very simple. You just pop that out, and there's a pop back out. All right, back to what I was talking about, though. See this? I like to face that in, okay, away from my frame, whether it's framing or in this case, the live well, the splash guard. Reason being is because, see, if you face it in, that overhangs 1/4 of an inch. If you face it in, you don't have to worry about that part catching on anything out here. If you spin it over, you got to worry about that coming down and catching on this. So I don't know, that's just me. I'm gonna swing these in. So that's always, no matter what hatch I do in this boat, that is always going to be inside for my framing. So if it's on this side of the hatch, it's going to be inside. If it's on this side of the hatch, I'm just going to flip it over and it's going to be this side. All right, that's just me, guys. Bear with me. So I'm going to mount this. I'm flipping it 30 times. I'm going to mount this inside, and I'm going to mount it center to my mark at 2.75 inches. Now, I'm also going to make sure that that strut clears that tape, okay? Because if it doesn't, it's gonna go in at an angle and it's gonna hit this. All right, so I think the first thing is I'm gonna pop this back off, and we're gonna drill some pilot holes up there and then go from there. All right, very simple. All I did was line this up with center where my mark is. Okay, I made 2 little dots. Note that I held it off my tape to give clearance for my strut. All right, what we just talked about. Okay, now I'm just going to drill some pilot holes into the wood. I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm just going to barely drill in, okay, because if I go too aggressive, I'll go straight through my hatch and my carpet. Okay, so I'm going to drill some pilot holes. And I'm using a very, very small bit, guys. This is a 5/64. It necessarily doesn't matter as long as the bit is smaller than the diameter of the screw. And in this case, I'm going to be using number 6 1/2-inch stainless steel screws. These are the screws. 6 1/2-inch. So I'm just not going to use the screws that they supplied. I'm going to go ahead and swap them to these stainless. Holes drilled, and this is the part of the project that I'm going to do something a little different that you're probably not going to have to worry about. Not 99% of you probably won't, unless you're running like I am, essentially 3/8 decking. If I use this 1/2-inch screw and I tighten down and get it all torqued out, it very well may go through the hatch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these. These are assorted flat washers. Okay, the value pack. I'm going to take 2 of these of the same size. I'm going to put them under my screw and over this bracket. Okay, that way it'll space my screw off just enough. It'll still lock into the wood, but it'll actually space it off of the bracket just enough to where it won't torque down and go through the hatch lid. You'll see what I mean in a second. And this is what I'm talking about. As you can see, the screw with the washer, and then it goes through. All right, so that's going to just prevent it. All that's doing is preventing it from going too deep, and it's actually going to dress it up and give it something more to grip to, more surface area to grip to this bracket. All right, tight and secure. Okay, and if you notice, I put them in the center, so that gives me room to adjust up and down and manipulate this if I get to that point and I need to do that, or if I need to make adjustments in the future just due to unforeseen events like things shifting or breaking, I can do that. Use the drill, and then as always, hand tighten with a screwdriver. All right, so this next part, what we're going to do is we're going to take, I don't even know where it's at, the circular, this bracket, and we're going to figure out where it goes on this framing. Now, I snapped that onto that. Okay, so we're good. You can see the strut clears the tape, which tells me that it won't hit the lip. Okay, the important part of this is depending on, all right, and I'm going to try to pull this with my hand, depending on where you want your hatch, okay, that's what's going to determine where this thing's mounted down here, if that makes any sense. So what you need to do, or what I'm going to do, is I'm going to temporarily prop my hatch up how I want it to sit. when it's fully open. Okay, I'm just going to go straight up with mine. All right, and the other reason I need to go straight up with mine is because I need this to mount as far that way as possible, so when it closes, I've got the 7 inches within here to where it'll actually fit in that space. If I open further up, it's going to push me that way, and when I do that, it's not giving me enough clearance in here for it to shut. I hope that makes sense. You're going to kind of have to do a little bit of math. Oh goodness, I just about fell on my boat. You're going to have to do a little bit of math when you're doing this and just kind of think ahead, but it's really not that hard. But in this circumstance, you got to kind of plan ahead. All right, same deal, pilot holes. Then I used a number 6 1/2-inch screw to attach this. All right, I'm going to be transparent with you guys because this is a 1x. I was unable to hit that bottom hole into anything. I could have bumped it up and tried to angle screws and get all 3. I feel that this thing is really structurally sound with just the 2 screws. So we're going to go with that. Now on all of my other framing, because they are 2x2s, I've got 1.5 inches. Right here, I just did that 1x. So it's definitely not enough room to hit all 3 screws, but I'm cool with that. I just cheated it down and hit the 2 screws dead center of the wood, so it's got a lot of meat to grab to. Okay, cousins. All installed. Ta-da! There it is, snapped into place. I've got good clearance. As you can see, this is not hitting my framing or my splash guard over here when it closes. I've got clearance because of how I showed you I did it. And then also I'll show you this is the concept is when this thing compresses and closes, it's going to sit nicely just inside that little space. I'm going to show you as best as I can what it does. You see that? Again, not hitting anything. It fits just nice and snug in there. And what I could tell you about that is just planning out your build, making sure when you're doing things that you can accommodate whatever you want to put into it. There's a lot of things on my build that I've changed, and you know, I've paid the price for that, because when you do something and then come back and try to change it or modify it, then you can't. I don't know if that makes sense, but I did install one back here too, guys, and there it is. Same technique. I will say that I've got the 2x2 redwood framing, so I was able to hit all 3 screws on this one. Unlike the 1x that I had in my live well. And guys, I just added this 1x when I built the live well. I think I even said it in my video. I just added that 1x under there straight up to put this strut in. That's the only reason that's in there is for that strut. I planned in advance that portion. The one thing that slipped by me was I didn't think about the size of this bracket. If I would have thought about it, I would have done something thicker. So anyhow, even I make mistakes, but it's in there. It's secure. Last thing, guys, 10-pound strut. I went ahead and went with a 10-pound strut here as well. 22.5 is just too much pressure for what I'm running. It may work for you guys, but I'm gonna, at this point, since this is a conclusion, I'm going to tell you 10 pounds is probably what I would recommend. Maybe 15. I don't know exactly what they make them in. I don't know if it's 10, 12, 15, 18. I know I've got the 10s and 22s. So 10s work great for me on this. And that's what I'm going with, probably for all my hatches. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. That's all I got for you. This is a functional mod. It looks cool. It's functional. It holds up my live well. Hopefully I'll fill that with some slaunch donkeys when I tournament fish, and I'll have news on that in the upcoming future. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. May your tiny boat builds be great.